Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Donjo number EL115-622 extended full lip strike. This is a 2¼ inch tall strike. We call it a D strike sometimes. You can use your imagination and see why we might call it a D strike. I have one removed from the packaging here, and let's take a closer look. Here it is. This is an EL115. So this is a strike plate, obviously. This is what we would call a D strike. Again, a full lip strike. Full lip. It's properly called a full lip strike, not a D strike. If you call it a D strike, people will know what you mean, but we would call it a full lip strike. Interesting, though, the strikes that are 2 3/4 that have a lip that if you turn like this, we call those T strikes, and that's so, you know, call it a D strike. 2 1/4 tall is the magic thing about D strikes. They're always, not always 2 1/4 tall, because there are other shapes like this, but a full lip strike would have a 2 1/4 height. Now this strike is an overall width of about 2 inch, but that's not how we measure these, because this is 1.5 inches. This is 1.5 inches, and it's not how we measure them. The center line of the screw hole to the edge of the lip is where the 1.5 inches comes in, and that's what this is. This is an 1.5 inches lip length strike. You wouldn't call it 2 inch. It's the center of the holes to the edge of the lip. A standard strike, for comparison's sake, is about 1.25 inches, 1 3/16, 1 5/16, right in that range. So with this strike being about 1/4 inch longer, that tells us something's happening, that a 1/4 inch greater lip length is necessary. Maybe thicker casing. Maybe the door is inset further. Whatever the case might be, that you need a little longer lip length, this would be the item when it's 1.5 inches or a 1/4 inch longer than standard. Now, where would you use this? Well, if you were doing a door, again, that had maybe some additional applied casing, and you would use this so that when the latch bolt when the door comes to close, you don't want the latch bolt prematurely making contact with your frame, your wall, your trim. You want it to hit the architectural hardware, and that's what a longer lip length is for. You can do longer lip lengths as well. They have different lengths of strikes that are available, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. And you need to determine what length of lip that you require for a strike when you're doing a lock, when you're doing any sort of application with a door and a frame. You'll want to consider what's the center of the thickness of my door to where my outside lip is required to be. And that will be something that's usually always well suited by 1 1/4 inch dimensions. But there are times when you need longer ones. There are times when you need shorter lip lengths as well, because you might have a condition, maybe a pair of doors. The active door has a welded flat astragal to the outside. So when that closes, if you've not slotted the astragal for the lip of the strike to poke through. Now, this is in the 622 finish. The EL115, it means your lip length. It means it's a full lip strike. It also means it will come in display packaging like this. You can also buy these strikes that will be marginally less expensive in just a clear bag. But if you want it display packaged, you'll use a part number like this, and we'll show you what that means when we get to the catalog. 622, that means black. Now, it's very typical and common for the factory to powder coat, and this is powder coated, the least expensive material. So they can make these strikes out of brass or maybe stainless. In this case, it's clearly steel. I would not have expected that, but this is just steel, so they're certainly, since they're powder coating it, they're going to gravitate towards the least expensive base material. It's not aluminum, but it would be steel. So they're clearly providing steel for making these when they do black. There would be, they can do a powder-coated black, they can do a powder-coated dark bronze, which they call 613 or US 10B oil rubbed. It's not. It's a powder-coated dark brown, which is complementary to oil rub bronze, but let's not call it 613 because that's not what it is. Okay, let's switch to the screen view where we can take a closer look at the supporting documentation. Now here's the item that we're looking at, and by the time you're checking this out, this will probably look a little bit different. I know that we're in a front-end redesign right now. So we have our extended lip strike. You can order these with a 1/4 inch radius corner. That would mean that these two outside corners would be 1/4 inch radius. That's achieved when the pre-hanger uses a 1/2 inch diameter router bit and doesn't go back and square the corners. Just note that the factory can give you 1/4 inch radius. If you have a frame that has rounded corners on the strike, you will certainly want the radius corner, provided that you don't want to square out those corners. We can oblige that requirement. Reach out to us and we'll help you with that. Display package does include a couple of screws, a couple of 832 by 3/4. They're not 832, they're just number 8. And they're not a combo screw. They're just like a sheet metal screw. I won't change that description because that came from the manufacturer, and who knows, they may change the screw type someday. 50 thousandths thick material. We'll gauge that, hopefully, if I don't forget by the end of the video. Template. Let's take a look at the drawing of the item, and there it is. Gives you all the important dimensions necessary. We'll also refer to other finishes. 605 is polished brass. 609 is antique brass. 619 satin nickel. 620 antique nickel. 630 stainless steel, and DU is a dark bronze powder coat. And they don't list the black, because this document's a bit older, and black. Okay, this document's really old. Obviously, it's not changed, and black is a relatively recent development in our industry when it comes to it's re-emerging as a popular finish. Okay, we also have the product catalog, and this is really handy as it will allow us to show you where you'll find all the different strikes. And all I did was a find function on my keyboard, and then I searched for EL-115. There you go. There's the table of all of the other full lip or D strikes. The dimension is the center line to the edge of the lip. So 1.5 inch, 1.75 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. Pardon me. 1.5 inch, 1.75 inch, 2 inch, 2.5 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. Okay. Now, the 91 series numbers, clear packaging. It's going to be light. If it wouldn't be more expensive, that's to be sure. If you have no intention of putting these in a retail environment like a lock shop or a neighborhood hardware store, order the 91 series, because they will be less expensive and therefore substantially less waste naturally, I think. Although, the cardboard's pretty biodegradable. Anyway, plastic bags is how those will come. Now, I mentioned other strikes. Well, here is a very unusual full lip strike that's 2 3/4 tall. I don't see those very often, but you do sometimes sell them. I don't see new hardware installed for those or prepped for a 2 3/4 tall D strike, but it can be done, or it is done. A couple of scenarios. You might have a 2 1/4 full lip strike, and it might be a wood frame, and you might have some damage, and you might say, well, I want to conceal that damage. Chisel the frame out, go to the larger size strike and conceal that damage. That'd be one reason. Another reason would be as if you are taking a deadbolt. Deadbolts have a 2 3/4 tall strike prep. If you were converting a deadbolt to a slam latch, Schlage makes, say, their B660 deadbolt. If you were going to convert that to a B250, you would need a strike with a lip. It might be easier to take a 2 3/4 tall strike like this and then cut the face of the frame out for this full lip strike. That could be where you'd use this. There are 4 7/8 extended lip strikes as well. You will bump into those. You're going to bump into it in a case like this, and it does, of course, apply to the other concept of what we're talking about. You will very often have, or you will see, a frame, and there will be a wall condition. There will be something applied. Okay? Someone will literally apply something to the face, some sort of tongue and groove, some sort of wall prep. You might have a door that they're applying a panel to. Well, I'm sorry, an artist I'm not. A fabric panel to. Okay? They want that to run long across the wall. Well, you're going to need to get a strike that's going to peek out here just a little bit so that that latch bolt, right, makes proper contact. That's why you might need a longer lip length. You could also use a longer lip length is when you have a deeper inset. The dimension from the face of the frame to the face of the door, that's the inset. Could be a little deeper. Or maybe I have a standard inset and I have literally applied some brick mold out here. Okay, I don't want my latch striking that. Anyway, those are reasons why you might bump into it. Into a hollow metal 4 7/8 strike sort of preparation. Because you'll see in an exterior wall, like a prefabbed wall or CMU, and then they're going to add Dryvit or something to the outside, and they're going to run that long all the way and cover the face of the frame. Well, the problem is your hardware is hitting that synthetic material. That's not intended for you to have hardware make contact with it. Obviously, we can do extended lip strikes in the typical T strike as well, 2 3/4 tall with this lip, different sizes. As you were to look through the rest of this catalog, you'll continue to find variations of strike plates. There's no doubt. Security strikes are down here. These are also full lip strikes, but they're 12-inch, 18-inch sizes of security strikes. This is a very common strike for use in deadbolts when you want to secure your deadbolt. Okay. Very helpful catalog in that regard. Now, when it comes to helpful catalogs, there's a link here to the manufacturer's page. That will allow you to review not only all of the Danjo products that we sell, but also a link to the website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. But we've taken that product catalog and broken it down into the constituent parts. So if you know the name Danjo at all, you probably do for their latch protectors and wraparound plates. You may know them for their strike plates as well, but be mindful, they have many other items that fit under the umbrella of trim and auxiliary that might be very useful to you, such as flat goods, push and pull plates, kick plates, armor plates, stretcher plates, mop plates. They have pivots, they have hinges, they have accessory hardware like signage, they have filler plates for use in hollow metal doors and frames. They have regular hinges. They have a good customer service department. They are engaged. They behave as if they are a partner in your success, and they genuinely want to do everything they can to permit you to achieve it. Let's wrap up this video on camera. A couple of things to finish up. Here is that screw. There's 2 of them. Okay. Number 2 is measuring the thickness of the strike. I wanted to see how close to 50 thousandths it is. Something tells me it's going to be shy of that. Don't listen to what I say. This is heavy on that, about 0.057. Just heavy on 50 thousandths. So it's almost a 1/16 of an inch. Very, very, very close to that. Nice quality product. Good people at Danjo. They are always helpful. They are always responsive. Generally what happens is the person that you speak to that picks up the phone at Danjo can give you a lead time, a stock check, a tracking number, a invoice copy. There's a couple of 3 people there that you'll always talk to, and I certainly couldn't say that they're under the radar at all. But I would think that people know them for that latch protector, door reinforcer gig that may not know about extended lip strikes and think Danjo, or hinges, or ladder pulls, or wall stops. Check out the rest of their product line. If you're already purchasing from them some of that other stuff, take a look at the rest of it. It's, there's a lot of places to buy trim and auxiliary hardware, but you probably do want to align your purchases with someone that you're already working with. So you're doing business, there's other stuff to look at. Any questions on the EL115 and a 622 finish or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.